Hello aspirants, welcome to your daily UPSC Current Affairs Revision Series by Insights IAS. In today's session, we'll cover the Quit India Movement, the National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation, the Mecca Joint Deterrence Agreement, the Slender-billed and White-rumped Vultures, and the Agni-IV ballistic missile. And in mapping, we'll explore Arunachal Pradesh. So, without any further delay, let's get started. Let's begin with a genuinely stirring history topic, one that every Indian should carry with pride, the Quit India Movement. Here's the context. The chairman of the Rajya Sabha made a solemn reference in Parliament to commemorate the 84th anniversary of this movement. So, what exactly was the Quit India Movement? Also known as Bharat Chhod Andolan or August Kranti, it was a mass civil disobedience movement launched by the Indian National Congress, INC, demanding an immediate end to British colonial rule in India. Now, let's go through its launch details, because these are genuinely foundational facts worth holding firmly. It was launched on August 8 to 9, 1942 at Govaliya Tank Maidan, now called August Kranti Maidan, in Bombay, today's Mumbai. Its key leadership included Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and Aruna Asaf Ali. And its clarion call, one of the most famous slogans in Indian history, was "Do or die, karo ya maro." Now let's understand the historical background behind this movement, because the context genuinely matters here. There was the World War II threat, following Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor in December 1941 and its swift advance through Southeast Asia, including the fall of Singapore and Rangoon. The war had genuinely reached India's doorstep. There was also the failure of the Cripps Mission. In March 1942, sent by British PM Winston Churchill, Sir Stafford Cripps offered post-war dominion status rather than immediate self-government. And this genuinely failed to satisfy Indian national leadership. This led to frustration and impatience. The failure of negotiations created widespread frustration, leading Mahatma Gandhi to conclude that the immediate withdrawal of British power was vital to defend India against foreign aggression. And there were the Wardha CWC and Bombay AICC resolutions. The Congress Working Committee met at Wardha in July 1942 to pass the Quit India draft, which was then formally ratified at the All India Congress Committee session in Bombay on the 8th of August 1942. Now, let's go through the key events during the movement, and this is genuinely dramatic history. So let's slow down. There were wholesale leadership arrests. At 5 a.m. on the 9th of August 1942, British authorities launched Operation Zero Hour, arresting Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Azad, and all top leaders before the movement could even be formally organized. Think about that timing. The very morning after the resolution was passed, the entire leadership was swept away. This triggered a spontaneous mass uprising. The sudden leadership vacuum sparked an unprecedented, leaderless popular revolt across major industrial and rural hubs: Bombay, Ahmedabad, Delhi, Bihar, Bengal, Karnataka, and UP. There were also parallel governments, Prati Sarkar. Nationalists established independent parallel administrations in several regions, including Tamluk in Midnapore, Bengal, the Tamluk Jatiya Sarkar, Satara in Maharashtra, the Prati Sarkar led by Nana Patil, and Balia in Uttar Pradesh led by Chittu Pandey. That's a genuinely remarkable fact, Indians running their own parallel governments right under British rule. There was underground resistance and radio too. Underground networks maintained communication. Aruna Asaf Ali famously hoisted the national flag at Govaliya Tank Maidan, while Usha Mehta operated the secret Congress radio, genuinely inspiring acts of quiet defiance. And there was severe colonial repression. The British government unleashed harsh measures, deploying police firings, mass arrests, over 1 lakh individuals imprisoned, and heavy fines. Now, let's understand the outcomes of this movement. It paralyzed colonial machinery, mass strikes, sabotage of rail tracks, disruption of telegraph lines, and local boycotts temporarily halted British governance across multiple provinces. It caused an irreversible loss of British authority, demonstrating to the British Empire that governing India without consent was no longer sustainable, even with heavy military presence. and it led to a decisive transition to independence, fast-tracking post-war constitutional negotiations and making Indian independence genuinely inevitable by 1947. So, to quickly recap, the Quit India movement launched on August 8 to 9, 1942 at Gowalia Tank Maidan with the call "Do or Die," following the failure of the Cripps Mission. Remember, Operation Zero Hour arrested all top leaders at 5 am on August 9, sparking leaderless uprisings and parallel governments like the Tamluk Jatiya Sarkar and Nana Patil's Prati Sarkar in Satara. Now, let's move to a genuinely important banking sector development, one that connects directly to something we've explored before. The National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation Limited, NUCFDC. Here's the context. The Union Minister of Home Affairs and Cooperation inaugurated the new office of NUCFDC in Mumbai. So, what exactly is National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation Limited? It's a specialized non-banking financial company registered with the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. And here's exactly what it does. It functions as the apex umbrella organization, UO, for the urban cooperative banking, UCB, sector in India, pooling the collective strengths of over 1,400 UCBs and thousands of branches. Now, let's go through its key historical milestones, because this genuinely builds directly on our earlier discussion about UCB licensing. Between 2006 and 2014, it was recommended by multiple RBI expert committees, including the Viswanathan Committee in 2006 and 2021, the V.S. Das Committee in 2009, the Malegaon Committee in 2010, and the R. Gandhi Committee in 2014. And here's a lovely detail. This idea was inspired by global cooperative financial systems like Rabobank in the Netherlands and Crédit Agricole in France. On the 2nd of March 2024, it was formally launched by Union Cooperation Minister Amit Shah in New Delhi. And now, in August 2026, its new office was inaugurated in Mumbai alongside the launch of a Specialized Security Operations Center, SOC, for cybersecurity. Its aim is to modernize, stabilize, and transform India's urban cooperative banking sector by accelerating digital adoption, addressing structural liquidity deficits, building capacity, and enabling small UCBs to compete in a modern digital financial landscape. Now let's go through the key functions of NUCFDC. There's a shared technology and digital banking platform, offering plug-and-play digital banking solutions, core banking software, CBS, ATM connectivity, and cybersecurity hubs, SOC, at affordable shared costs for smaller UCBs. That's genuinely useful for small cooperative banks that could never afford this infrastructure alone. There are fund-based and liquidity support services, acting as a central liquidity manager, providing cash flow support, short-term liquidity assistance, and facilitating the trading of priority sector lending certificates among member UCBs. There are also non-fund services and capacity building, delivering standardized regulatory compliance tools, board training programs, and professional capacity building frameworks to improve governance standards. Exactly the kind of governance strengthening that addresses the failures we discussed earlier around UCB licensing. There's collective bargaining and economies of scale too, negotiating bulk procurement terms for software, hardware, and third-party financial services to dramatically lower operational overhead for small banks. And there's a path to self-regulatory organization, SRO, status, positioned to act as an SRO upon reaching a paid-up capital threshold of Rs 300 crore, providing localized oversight and regulatory comfort to the RBI. On significance, this enables urban cooperative banks to offer modern digital banking services comparable to commercial and small finance banks. And it enhances governance, cyber resilience, and risk management, improving public confidence in cooperative banks. So, to quickly recap, NUCFDC, formally launched on the 2nd of March 2024, is an RBI-registered NBFC serving as the umbrella organization for over 1,400 UCBs. Remember, it can become a self-regulatory organization once it reaches rupees 300 crore in paid-up capital. And its August 2026 Mumbai office launch included a new cybersecurity security operations center. Now, let's move to a genuinely significant international relations development, the Mecca Joint Deterrence Agreement. The context is that Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan signed this historic agreement in Mecca to establish a collective security and defense mechanism. So, what exactly is this agreement? It's a trilateral defense framework designed to align the military, financial, and strategic deterrence capabilities of three major regional powers, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, to safeguard national sovereignty and regional stability. Now, let's understand what each nation brings to this agreement, because this division of contributions is genuinely worth holding on to. Turkey provides advanced defense industrial technology, manufacturing scale, and NATO's second-largest standing army. Saudi Arabia contributes massive financial resources, regional diplomatic leverage, and strategic energy dominance. And Pakistan contributes extensive combat experience, military manpower, and nuclear deterrence capabilities. Notice that combination: technology plus money plus nuclear capability, a genuinely powerful trilateral mix. Now let's understand the background behind this agreement. On post-October 7 regional volatility, it was initiated in response to heightened Middle Eastern instability following the Gaza conflict and expanding regional military engagements involving Israel, Iran, and non-state groups. On prior bilateral pacts, it builds on previous bilateral arrangements, including the September 2025 Saudi-Pakistan Mutual Defense Agreement and existing Ankara-Islamabad strategic ties. And on desire for strategic autonomy, it's driven by the need for regional powers to develop independent, state-centric security architectures, rather than relying entirely on external security guarantees. Its aim is to establish a collective deterrence framework, enhance defense industrial self-reliance, streamline intelligence sharing, and prevent external aggression against member states while preserving territorial integrity across the region. Now, let's go through the key features of this agreement. There's the collective deterrence principle, stipulating that an armed attack against any one of the three partner states will be regarded as an act of aggression against all three, establishing a strong mutual defense posture genuinely reminiscent of NATO's Article 5 style commitment. There's defense industrial and technological cooperation, focusing on joint military manufacturing, technology transfer, and localized production, leveraging Turkish defense tech and Saudi capital to reduce reliance on Western arms imports. There's also enhanced intelligence and operational synergy, establishing streamlined protocols for real-time threat intelligence sharing, joint military exercises, and defense capacity building among armed forces. And there's an inclusive regional architecture, structured as a defensive alliance rather than an offensive bloc, remaining open to other regional nations seeking state-centric stability. So this isn't presented as a closed club. On significance, this reduces dependence on Western security frameworks through a genuine regional defense partnership. And it integrates Pakistan's nuclear capability, Turkey's defense industry, and Saudi Arabia's financial resources into a stronger combined defense ecosystem. So, to quickly recap, the Mecca Joint Deterrence Agreement is a trilateral defense pact between Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Pakistan, built on the principle that an attack on one is an attack on all three. Remember what each nation contributes: Turkey's defense technology and NATO-scale army, Saudi Arabia's finances, and Pakistan's nuclear deterrence, and that it builds on the earlier September 2025 Saudi-Pakistan Defense Agreement. Now, let's move to a genuinely heartening conservation milestone, the Slender-billed vulture and the White-rumped vulture. The context is that in a world-first milestone, 5 captive-bred slender-billed vultures along with 5 white-rumped vultures were released into the wild using the soft-release scientific method in the Biswanath Wildlife Division of Kaziranga National Park, Assam. Let's first understand the slender-billed vulture, scientifically Gyps tenuirostris. What exactly is it? It's an old-world scavenger bird of prey, belonging to the family Accipitridae. And here's an interesting taxonomic detail. Once considered a subspecies of the Indian vulture, under the name long-billed vulture, it's now classified as a distinct species native to South Asia and parts of Southeast Asia. On its habitat and distribution, it lives in savannas, open arid landscapes, dry deciduous forests, and river valleys, primarily at lower elevations. It avoids dense human habitations, but occasionally visits slaughterhouses or garbage dumps for carrion. It's found in sub-Himalayan regions across northern and eastern India, notably Assam, and also in Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Cambodia. Its IUCN Red List status is critically endangered. Now, let's go through its key characteristics. It's a medium to large vulture, measuring 77 to 103 centimeters in length with a 196 to 258 centimeters wingspan. It has a bare head and neck, featuring an unfeathered, narrow, elongated black head and a long, skinny black neck, giving it a genuinely scruffy or disheveled look. Its bill structure is distinct, possessing a shiny, slender beak adapted for deep carcass feeding. And on plumage, it's covered in dark brown, light brown, and beige body feathers, with cream-colored feathering on its legs visible during flight. Now, let's move to the white-rumped vulture, scientifically Gyps bengalensis. What exactly is it? It's the smallest among the old-world Gyps vultures, native to South and Southeast Asia. And here's a genuinely sobering statistic worth holding on to, formally recognized as one of the most abundant large birds of prey in the world. During the 1980s, its global population collapsed by over 99% within 2 decades due to veterinary drug toxicity. That's an extraordinary, near-total collapse for what was once an extremely common bird. On its habitat and distribution, it's highly adaptable across open landscapes, grasslands, open deciduous forests, and agricultural areas. Uniquely, it's adapted to live close to human settlements, towns, and slaughterhouse grounds. Resident populations remain across northern and central India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, and localized pockets of Southeast Asia. Its IUCN Red List status is also critically endangered. Now, let's go through its key characteristics. On size profile, it measures 75 to 93 centimeters in length, weighs 3.5 to 6 kilograms, and has a wingspan ranging between 1.92 and 2.13 meters. It has a signature white patch featuring a prominent white patch on its lower back or rump and underwing coverts, which is clearly visible when the bird is in flight or stretching its wings, exactly where its name comes from. On plumage and collar, adult birds have overall dark or black body plumage, with a distinctive whitish downy ruff or collar surrounding the base of the neck. There's also a tail feather distinction worth remembering. It possesses 12 tail feathers, contrasting with the 14 tail feathers found in most other Gyps vulture species, a genuinely specific taxonomic detail. And here's the critical vulnerability behind its population collapse: lethal drug vulnerability. It's highly susceptible to renal failure, caused by consuming livestock carcasses treated with banned non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, such as diclofenac, aceclofenac, ketoprofen, and nimsulide, exactly the mechanism behind that devastating 99% population crash. So, to quickly recap, both the slender-billed vulture and the white-rumped vulture are critically endangered Gyps species, recently released together for the first time using the soft release method at Kaziranga. Remember, the white-rumped vulture's population collapsed by over 99% due to diclofenac and similar NSAID drugs, and that it has 12 tail feathers compared to 14 in most other Gyps vultures. Now, let's move to a genuinely important defense topic, the Agni-IV ballistic missile. The context is that the Strategic Forces Command (SFC) successfully conducted a routine training launch of the Agni-IV intermediate range ballistic missile off the coast of Odisha. So, what exactly is Agni-IV? It's an indigenous, nuclear-capable, two-stage, solid-fueled intermediate range ballistic missile (IRBM). Operating with a strike range of approximately 4,000 kilometers, it serves as a core land-based component of India's nuclear triad. It was designed and developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO. Its aim is to provide a highly mobile, survivor-capable, and precise land-based nuclear deterrent against regional strategic threats across Asia, strengthening India's policy of credible minimum deterrence and no first use. Now, let's go through the key features of Agni-IV. It has an extended strike range capable of delivering a 1-ton, 1,000 kilograms conventional or nuclear warhead up to a distance of 4,000 kilometers. It uses solid propellant propulsion powered by a high-performance 2-stage solid fuel engine housed in lightweight composite rocket motor casings. There's road mobile survivability too, transportable and launchable via Mobile Transporter Erector Launchers (TELs), enabling rapid repositioning across countrywide road networks to avoid targeting by enemy silo tracking assets. Genuinely important since a mobile missile is much harder to preemptively strike than a fixed silo. There's advanced inertial navigation, incorporating an indigenous ring laser gyroscope-based inertial navigation system (RINS) paired with a micro-inertial navigation system (MINGS) for high-precision targeted strikes. There are stealth and avionics innovations, designed with a significantly reduced radar cross-section (RCS) and re-entry heat shield technology, allowing the missile to withstand thermal re-entry temperatures above 3,000 degrees Celsius while resisting electronic countermeasures. And there are redundant digital flight controls, featuring a distributed high-speed digital computer bus and redundant flight control architecture to guarantee trajectory accuracy and mission success. On significance, road mobility and rapid launch capability improve survivability against preemptive attacks, strengthening India's nuclear deterrence. And technologies like composite materials, ring laser gyroscopes, and digital controllers developed for Agni-IV enabled the subsequent development of Agni-V and Agni-P, genuinely a stepping stone missile in India's broader Agni family. So, to quickly recap, Agni-IV is DRDO's nuclear-capable IRBM with a 4,000 km range, road mobile via TELs, and part of India's credible minimum deterrence and no first-use policy. Remember its RINS and MINGS navigation systems for precision, its re-entry heat shield withstanding over 3,000 degrees Celsius, and that its technologies paved the way for Agni-V and Agni-P. Finally, let's turn to today's mapping topic, and this one's genuinely tied to a strategic naming initiative, Arunachal Pradesh. The context is that the Union Ministry of Home Affairs and the Survey of India officially updated the national map to standardize place and feature names for 27 strategic sites in Arunachal Pradesh. So, what exactly is Arunachal Pradesh? Known as the land of the dawn-lit mountains, it's the largest state by area in northeast India. Situated in the eastern Himalayas, it holds immense strategic, ecological, and cultural importance, sharing international borders with 3 sovereign nations. On its location and boundaries, it's located in northeast India, between 26.28 degrees north to 29.3 degrees north latitude, and 91.2 degrees east to 97.3 degrees east longitude. Its state capital is Itanagar. Its neighboring Indian states are Assam and Nagaland. And its bordering nations are Bhutan, Myanmar, and China, or the Tibet Autonomous Region. Now, let's go through its history and constitutional evolution, because this is genuinely important background. So let's slow down. On the colonial period and the McMahon Line, the boundary between British India and Tibet was demarcated at the 1914 Simla Convention by Sir Henry McMahon, establishing what's known as the McMahon Line. On post-independence evolution, it was administered as the Northeast Frontier Agency, NEFA, under the Ministry of External Affairs until 1972, when it became a union territory. And it was granted full statehood on the 20th of February 1987, becoming the 24th state of the Indian Union. Hold that date firmly, it's genuinely testable. Now, let's go through the key features of Arunachal Pradesh. On vast area and topography, it spans 83,743 square kilometers, characterized by rugged Himalayan mountain ranges, deep river valleys, and high-altitude glacial lakes such as Sambho Sarovara. On highest peak and river systems, it's home to Mount Kangto at 7,090 meters in West Kameng district, and its main rivers include the Siang, the headstream of the Brahmaputra, along with the Kameng, Subansiri, Dibang, and Lohit. There's rich cultural diversity too, home to major indigenous tribes, including the Nyeshi, Adi, Apatani, Monpa, Mishmi, Tagin, Tangsa, Wancho, and Singpho. Celebrating vibrant festivals such as Losar, Solung, Nyokum, and Dri, a genuinely rich tapestry of tribal cultures. On state symbols, the state bird is the great pied hornbill, the state animal is the Mithuna, Bos frontalis, also called Gayal, the state tree is Holong, and the state flower is the foxtail orchid, Rhynchostylis retusa. And on key tourist and historical sites, these include Tawang Monastery, Namdafa National Park, Bhishmakangar, Malini Than, Parashuram Kund, and the Jaswantgarh War Memorial. Now, let's understand today's recent naming initiative, since that's exactly what prompted this mapping topic. On the breakdown of identified sites, the 27 sites comprise 21 land areas or villages, including Longju, Maja, Bisa, Jaswantgarh, and Jairampur, 4 mountain passes, Thagla, Dajjola, Rizala, and Pukurla, 1 high-altitude lake, Sambho Sarovara, and 1 war memorial, the Sher-e-Thapa Memorial. That's a genuinely useful breakdown to remember, 21 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1, adding up to those 27 sites. And on the counter to cartographic aggression, this initiative serves as a direct, authoritative counter to China's periodic unilateral attempts to assign fictitious Chinese names to places in Arunachal Pradesh, essentially India formally standardizing its own names for these locations in response to Beijing's repeated attempts to rename them. So, to quickly recap, Arunachal Pradesh granted full statehood on the 20th of February 1987 as India's 24th state borders Bhutan, Myanmar, and China with its capital at Itanagar. Remember, Mount Kangto at 7,090 meters is its highest peak, and the recent Survey of India naming initiative standardized 27 strategic sites, 21 villages, 4 mountain passes, 1 lake, and 1 war memorial as a direct counter to China's cartographic aggression. And that brings us to the end of today's session. In today's session, we covered the Quit India movement from GS Paper 1 History, the National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation from GS Paper 3 Economy, the Mecca Joint Deterrence Agreement from GS Paper 2 International Relations, the Slender-billed and White-rumped Vultures from GS Paper 3 Environment and Biodiversity, the Agni-IV ballistic missile from GS Paper 3 Defense and Security, and Arunachal Pradesh under mapping. For the complete current affairs article and today's practice MCQs, visit insightsonindia.com using the link given in the description. Also, subscribe to the Insights IAS YouTube channel and join our official Telegram group for regular UPSC related updates and learning resources. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you again in the next session.